Hello and welcome to Third Eye Africa TV. Today we want to look at our health being. How healthy are we? Are we trauma free? Are we depression free? And when I say we, I mean Nigerians, I mean human beings generally. So we want to look at mental health. As we have a guest, an expert who will also handle or explain to us many of these things. We've seen people kidnapped, we've seen accident victims, we've seen traumatized families. What should be done? We'll look at all these things and more. My name is Ben Shamang, your regular host of the program. And I have with me Dr. James Berian Iwowarri. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Golden Rays Energy Health Services. He'll be talking to us on many of these things and more. Sir, welcome to Third Eye Africa TV.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
I can see you have Golden Rays Energy. Some would think it's some energy drink or something.
Absolutely.
So what is it all about?
Yeah, it's a name that comes from the new knowledge of health that has to do with energy. If you want to talk about life, you think in terms of frequency according to Einstein. So we are at that time in development now, where we are looking at ourselves as energy, as frequency, as objects of vibration. And that is where the name Golden Rays Energy Health Services comes from. The rays that sustain us, the golden
rays of the sun.
Exactly, that sustain us. And it is connected to the energy that we express or makes us who we are. As we go along, I will be explaining and will be, bringing the foundation a lot more so that we can appreciate it.
Yes. So, within the confine of trauma, when do we say someone is traumatized?
I want to say thank you very much for, having me in this kind of discussion and engagement, because our environment, people don't talk about trauma. People don't even know a lot about trauma, but it is a very important knowledge that we need to have. Because according to research, more than 85% of our physical health challenges have their root at emotional trauma. Now, what is trauma? I want to start from there. Trauma is a deep experience that overwhelms you. That is, I would say it shocks you when it happens. It overwhelms you. It makes it difficult for you to hold a decision, hold an opinion, be able to express yourself at that point in time. It is something that you shouldn't allow to remain in your system, because it will create a dysfunction in the way you see life, in the way, even in your physical health. So trauma is not good. When it happens, it's important that we resolve it.
Now, talking of resolving it, let's look at trauma within the family system. How do we look at trauma? Some families, by way of, they can't just make it, earn a living. Nobody is there for them. And how do we handle such people?
Having talked about trauma, you know that when trauma happens, the individual is incapable of holding an opinion, having a decision, cannot do so many things because the person is overwhelmed. Family, trauma in the family takes the same pattern. When it happens, nobody in the family is expecting it. For example, somebody loses a father, loses a mother, loses feeding opportunity, that is job loss, And maybe there is also a splitting in the family, separation or divorce. These are factors that can happen that will traumatize not only the people involved, but even the relations that are involved. There are what we call direct trauma. There is what we call vicarious trauma. People who even come around to sympathize are also traumatized by those experiences. The issue is not about the trauma. The issue is about how we react to the traumatic experience. And how we react to the traumatic experience depends on a lot of factors. Awareness, resilience, inner maturity, capacity to understand that this thing is but a phase, that it will go away. However, there is something that happens with us as human beings. We have an innate capacity to create negative energy when trauma happens. And those negative energy, if we don't remove it, it will continue to cause problem for us. That is why sometimes we talk about triggers, because the information about that trauma is encoded in our memory. Anytime we see something close to that or that resembles that experience, it triggers that emotion which we have created, that is recorded in our system. And when we get triggered, it will be as if that thing is happening again to us. And our body, the physiology of the body, the way it is programmed, will react again as if it is happening fresh. And that is where the challenge is, because that is also what leads the body to encode what we call post-traumatic stress disorder. So you will be reliving that experience. So the earlier the individual resolves that trauma out of his system, the better for the person. So that when those similar situations arise, he or she will not be triggered again.
Well, we'll come to that post-traumatic stress disorder. But let's look at the physical things that can cause that psychological thing that will weigh someone down. So what will that be?
There are quite a lot of them. The experiences of life, we call it life event experiences. And these life event experiences can start from childhood. So a child goes through what we call adverse childhood experience. So these adverse childhood experiences, when they happen, they cause trauma that also recorded. Now, what are these experiences? Abandonment, for example. Shouting at your child, for example. Physically abusing the child can cause the child to have trauma. And then a child loses a parent, or a child is separated from a significant caregiver, the parents or uncles or brothers or sisters, or even a house help that was brought that the child is falls in love with, like taking care of the child, and you suddenly remove the child, taking the child away from school, where he or she has friends and likes the teachers. And you suddenly say, oh, maybe because of economic reasons, you take the child away to another school without first discussing the child and bringing the child up to speed with recognizing the emotional component, what we call in some balance, being emotionally intelligent in discussing, communicating with the child to say that, look, this is the reason why we have to change your school, and the child comes along with it. But when you do those things without that awareness on the part of the child, you are causing trauma. So there are so many things you can do that will traumatize the child. Although the child will not be able to talk, may not be able to do anything, but the child internalizes that experience, and what he does is to develop coping mechanisms that will enable him or her deal with those situations when they come out in future. And one of those dangerous coping mechanisms could be a decision to fight anybody who goes against his will, who does something without his consent. And then you see a challenging behavior that comes up. Some of the things that also children do in adolescence or adulthood that compensate for this traumatic experience could be taking drugs, the certain behavioral situations that unwanted behavioral situations that the family will be, unhappy with. So those are the things that can happen.
Now, just of recent, 128 kidnapped victims from Zamfara State were rescued by security operatives, handed over to the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Rubadu, who in turn handed over to the government of Zamfara State for them to mix with, to meet their families. Now, one wonders what is going on in the minds
of the children
of these victims.
Yes.
Also, as an expert in that, what do you think must be going on psychologically with these people?
A very important question, I must tell you. And I'm happy that you asked this question because at certain different environments, I have had to air my views about what needs to be done when these children are, or when these victims are recovered. Now, the psychological damage that these people go through or experience are not being addressed. Some of these kidnapped victims have gone through a lot of torture. They have seen so many negative things in the enclave where they were held. They have negative images imprinted on their subconscious and conscious minds that they need to be purged of those images, because those images will continue to cause triggers in future, and they will continue to react in certain ways unmapped, those ways that are unmapped that people will not see. Now, yes, they said they give them what they call psychosocial support, but those psychosocial supports is about integration with the families. You have people who come and talk to them and pray to them and thank the Lord that they have been saved, but those negative images are not yet removed. So when these people are recovered, when these people are brought out of victimhood, they still need to go through psychological examination, psychological clearing, what we call emptying the inner vessel that where they have stored these negative emotions or these negative images that they have they experienced where they were. So it is important that action is taken beyond the clothing, beyond the food, beyond the family interaction, that at individual levels they go through emotional trauma resolution to clear their minds. If that is not done, there will be post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
There will be depression.
Yes.
There will be anxiety. There will be sadness. They will continue to be in fear.
Okay. Now let's situate this situation. Let's situate this scenario in context, where you have soldiers. You've left your families. You're fighting insurgency. You're fighting terrorism. They've not seen you. You've not seen them. Sometimes a phone call. Some are in places where they are receiving no service.
Yes.
When families hear of soldiers being attacked, all they know is my person safe?
Yes.
Also, when such people do come back from these operations, even police, marine police, they are in the creeks, navy, they are in the sea. You don't get to mingle with the normal society.
Yes.
Also, how do you handle such people when they are back from operations?
It is important that when these people come back from operations, because of the experiences that they have had in combat, they need to be debriefed. And after the debriefing, they need to go through therapy to clear those traumatic incidents that they have experienced in combat. This is very significant because of the consequences of unresolved trauma. I mentioned that according to research, over 80 to 85% of our physical health challenges have their root at emotional level. Now, if these negative emotions that have been generated as a result of these combat experiences are not removed, over time, they will begin to affect the individual's physical health. The body will begin to wear out. And sometimes, some of these health challenges may not be traced back to the trauma experiences that these people had. That is the danger in it. But we'll be medicating the body. But the root cause is not being addressed. So when these people come out from whatever experience that they have had, whatever environment that they have been to, they need to go through therapy. I have had, let me bring personal experience now, where I had to go to work with an NGO that is in charge of the veteran, that takes care of veterans. And we had a workshop for them. And I had to put over 20 of them through therapy sessions. And when one of them was looking very smart and agile. But when we got to a point in the therapy process, he broke down and started crying. A trained soldier started crying, and I had to manage him until he got out of that mode and he became okay again. The general that facilitated the process was astonished. He said, "This is one of my able, agile soldiers, that for him to break down and cry, doctor, you must be very good in what you are doing." So these people cage these experiences because even the society does not give them chance to offload some of these things that they have that encasing them in their conscious and unconscious minds.
Yes.
So they need to be open to release the pressure associated with those experiences. And that is what we do with energy therapy.
And exactly, sometimes you hear somebody saying, "This is a man under stress." They say, "Come, don't behave like a woman, be a man." Mm-hmm. And they refuse to cry.
Yes.
That creates tension.
Exactly.
Also, some people will say to cry is also tension management.
Yes. To cry is actually an escape route to releasing emotional challenges, emotional pressures. And that is where women are better than men. They easily cry. And when they cry, they release those tensions. That does not mean that they are not supposed to remove those trauma experiences because they accumulate a lot. But at least they are able to release some part of it. It's riskier for men that they hold on to those things. And then somebody was asking me at a conference, "Doctor, why is it that men die earlier than the women in terms of relationships?" I said, well, some of these things come also from the societal pressures placed on men. You say a man should be resilient. He should not cry. It's not manly to cry. But then there is emotional trauma going on to the man. So the design of the human person is such that if certain things happen, you create bad energy. And when you create that bad energy, you have to release it. In those days when animals were pursuing us, we were wild animals, we run. Or we get something and fight and then kill the animal. But these days, we don't fight, we don't run, we stay. So we freeze the energy. And that frozen energy stays inside us, and it does not allow us to actualize our potentials, to optimize the potential that we are given to express ourselves the way we should express ourselves in terms of performance, in terms of productivity. So this is the hallmark of knowing the challenge associated with trauma
Okay. Now, we're coming to the place where I said, tarry a while, wait a bit. Now we're talking of this post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
Recall that we've had plane mishap, aeroplane accidents. We've had train mishaps, and just like the one that has just taken place now, just around Kubwa here, Kubwa Jere axis. Now, we've had victims of kidnap. You see, pregnant women, they give birth while being held hostage.
Yes.
And the terrorists will rather use that bad situation as a bargaining chip. They release these photographs to further terrorize community.
Yes.
And also to tell those, look for the ransom and pay. Else, we are still holding on to this. Now, when finally this has been settled, they have come back. Now, let us look at this concept of post-traumatic stress disorder. That syndrome that begins to haunt. You are asleep, you just believe.
Yeah, you have nightmares.
There. Exactly.
Yeah.
You believe they are still following you.
You get startled easily.
Yes. Here they come again.
Yes.
How do we come out of this?
The straight way to come out of it is to go through therapy, go through healing. One must heal. We must be
First
open.
of all, let's talk. You said go through therapy.
Yes.
So let's look at therapeutic
processes.
activities.
Yes. There are quite a good number of therapy modalities that people can experience. In Nigeria, a lot of people who studied psychology, studied counseling, they are not playing the role that they are supposed to be playing in helping the society to mature, to grow. Because the society does not accommodate them in terms of professional compensation. So they are into other fields. They go into human resource services, they go into marketing, they go into buying and selling. So the profession that is supposed to support the human potentials is not given room to grow. Now, otherwise, it is, first thing would be to engage the psychologists, engage the guidance and counseling people to come and help transform or release the inner turmoil that is going on in these people. They have the training, they have the skill. So what I do now in Nigeria is promoting energy therapy, which is a combination of energy psychology and energy medicine. These two fields address both the physiological aspect of the human person and the emotional and psychological aspect of the human person. What is new in this process is that it accelerates the healing time, and it is very, very effective. And it's a very simple process when you subject people to the energy therapy modality in trauma resolution. That's what I do now. Now, the advantage, like I said, I have over other modalities, the practice of other modalities, and I'll mention them. We talk about cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, talk therapy. These are all modalities, psychotherapy modalities that you can use to help the individuals.
I'll give you some seconds to still explain those concepts.
Yes,
side modality and all
that. Talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing.
Eye movement involves what?
Eye movement there is a concept that when there is a trauma, the position of your eye captures that trauma at that particular point in time. So if you are making movement in your eye, when your eye gets to that point, the eyeballs get to that point, it will refuse to go cross that because it will trigger that trauma. So in therapy, a trained EMDR will gradually use the technique to let your eye move across that particular region. And when it does, you have broken that resistance, and that brings about healing. it's a process that is very nice to do if you understand the technique.
Then there's the talk therapy.
There's a talk therapy that is engaging the individual in talking. You understand? You say, look, this thing that has happened, it has happened. You don't bother about it. You try to overcome it. Some people will bring faith, healing, religion into it. The Almighty will help you. You know, those kind of. So these are modalities. But however, you know, these modalities, some of them take a long time to actualize the objective of the therapy process. That is where energy therapy comes in and, you know, removes that length of time because it is faster. Now, the challenge with talk therapy and some of these other cognitive behavioral therapy models is that they address the willpower of the individual. So you have to engage the person. When I say forget about this thing, you are supposed to now use your own willpower to say, oh, this thing, the doctor said I should forget, I'm forgetting it. But if the willpower is dysfunctional, you know, as it is in some in situations where people have used drugs to kill their willpower, that ability, then you need to do something extra to awaken that willpower so that the person can change. And that awakening process is what we do with energy therapy, energy psychology.
Okay. We'll still come to that. We are carrying it ahead. But we'll look at one scenario, a very practical one. The train that was attacked along the Abuja-Kaduna way about 2 years ago, many passengers were kidnapped. Some were killed, some were malhandled, beaten, injured, suffered all sorts of things. Now, just about 3 months ago, the story is that one of the victims who was fortunate to be alive because he paid ransom. He went to a mosque and saw one of the kidnappers worshipping religiously. And when they sighted themselves, they knew themselves. The kidnapper said he had repented. Now, the victim was just looking. At that point, I mean, how do you manage these two people?
It's quite an interesting scenario.
This is real life.
Yes. And, you know, yes, the kidnapper has repented. It now left for the individual to also say, okay, since you have repented, I forgive you. I forgive your experiences.
But the crime belongs to the government to prosecute. Exactly.
That is a different side of it altogether. But what is significant, I am happy that the man who survived did not die eventually, because trauma can kill somebody, but it's a gradual thing, and the person may not know that. Some people know, you know, when they come into therapy, they say, when did this thing start? He said, oh, this thing started when I lost my grandmother. This thing started when I had this experience. This thing started when this happened. So people can always connect the time of the startment with the sickness, but they may not know that it is that experience itself that is causing the sickness because of the imbalance, the disharmony in the energy system that has been created as a result of that experience. Now, the individual needs to forgive. It's again, it is not that easy. That's also part of what we do with energy therapy. You help somebody to come to that level where he is able to dissolve the energy of
I'll put you on a pause here.
Okay.
You've been trying to tell us what this energy therapy looks like, or how it works. We'll come to that as we just take a small break and come back. And our guest is Dr. James Berian Iwowarri, and he's the Chief Executive Officer of the Golden Rays Energy Health Services here in Abuja.
Yes.
And my name is Ben Sherman. We'll continue after this break.
We're talking about South and the North. You talk about middle belt. Currently in Nigeria, we don't have middle belt. north central
Okay.
is what we have.
Okay.
And they are included in the north. If the perception is because Nigeria is standing on a tripod, you have Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, they are the owners of Nigeria. That is a very wrong perception. These are major tribes in Nigeria. Simple.
Yeah.
Nigeria is owned by every single citizen of this country.
If you go to civilized nations, they possibly have, stratified their political parties such that those who play at the national level are there. And at the local level, you have other minor political parties playing there. And it gives sense of belonging to every citizen to be able to contest.
And in fact, once you have joined APC, all your sins are forgiven.
It's okay. It's okay. Up your mind. It's okay.
This is Third Eye Africa TV, exposing crime, savaging the nation.
Welcome back to this second part of the interview. Now, you've been trying to talk so much about the Golden Ray Energy Health Services. And before all of that, I've seen that the Chinese have always been talking about some acupuncture and managing some physical things, some therapy and all that stuff. At the point you also go to the social media, you just see some skeleton, they show some portions, they look reddish, rub this and this will go, no need for operations and all that stuff. I mean, is the Nigerian being deceived or it works?
No, the Nigerian is not being deceived. There's a lot of things that work that we do not know about. The Chinese have over 5,000 years experience in their Chinese traditional medicine. The Africans also have our own, but we are not properly explored and not properly documented. So it's as if those things are new to us. If you, when I spoke to a group of retired and senior officers in the security function, they call them ANDEC, Alumni Association of what's it? The Defense College.
Okay.
Yeah.
National Defense College?
Yes. The Alumni Association of Defense College, yeah, the ANDEC. It's one of the retired Air Commodores told me that his grandmother used to do some of these exercises to heal people of headache and migraine and a couple of other things. I said, okay, do we have any documentation? No. So that is the challenge. We don't have documentation of what people did in the past. So the Chinese are not deceiving us. It's only that because we lost touch with our own, they come with their own. It's as if there is new. There is acupuncture. And what is acupuncture? Acupuncture is a process of opening up the acupoints, using pins and needles, so that there is what we call life force energy. The Chinese call it qi, and the Japanese call it ki, and Polynesians call it mana or prana. The Indians call it prana. So that's where the pranic healing came from. So this life force energy, that's what we call it now in scientific balance, flows into us, works in us, and flows out. It flows in through energy centers called the chakras, and then flows through meridians, pathways called meridians, and then it goes out. Now, this maintains a rhythm of life force energy movement in us. And as long as we are there breathing, this rhythm is there. Now, this rhythm, if it is not working well, we fall sick, we fall ill. We are not in alignment with the life force energy. There is a discordance. Now, when in the Chinese culture, they say, look, if there is a blockage in the movement of this life force energy and it's causing sickness, use pins and needles to open up the acupoints so that the bad energy will go away, the blockage will go away, and the person recovers. Okay. So that is how it is. Okay. But what we do now in energy psychology is that we don't use pins and needles anymore, but we activate the meridians, we activate the chakras so that they can also be functional and effective, and then help in resolving traumatic experiences that are stored in form of energy in our system.
Now you are the CEO of Golden Rays.
Yes.
Like the rays of the sun.
Yes.
Not just that, we are saying energy health services.
Yes.
Now let us put us through. What is it that you do there to manage people who you think, by the way, who are your patients?
Everybody is my patient. Everybody.
Especially those suffering from what?
Traumatic experiences,
like
from physiological health issues, from behavior challenges, people who want to actualize their potentials, the people who have inner resistance to moving forward in life. So these are the people that come to me, and the people that I work with, I work on and I work with. Now, what is the basis of this work that I do? It is because, like I mentioned earlier, when there is a dysfunction in somebody's energy system, it creates behavioral challenges, it creates physiological health issues, it creates inability to actualize one's potentials in life. Fear, for example, issues like fear, anxiety, like guilt feelings, issues like anger, rage, feeling of sadness, negative emotions, negative thoughts. Well, when we talk about depression, it's a big word, but it has a lot of factors associated with the symptoms. Those symptoms that manifest, they can be triggered by a dysfunction in one's energy system. Now, how does dysfunction come into one's energy system? I mentioned this freezing of the energy. I mentioned creating negative emotions. When you get angry, for example, you create negative emotion. When you become enraged, you create negative emotion. When something happens to you that you are not able to manage and hold, you create negative emotion. So those negative emotions, they don't go away. There's a book written by Bessel van der Kolk, and it's now in the US. It's a psychologist, a psychiatrist. So he said the body keeps the score. The trauma that you experience, which now caused you to create negative energy, negative emotion, does not go away. It has to be removed. And if it does not go away, it creates health challenges. So this is what I do. I help you to remove that negative energy, remove that negative emotion, so that you become re-established in your own self. Your self-image, self-confidence will be restored. Fear will be taken away. People who want to startups, for example, very soon I'm going to do a workshop on startup fears. Entrepreneurs who want to start their businesses, they are afraid of success, they are afraid of failure, they are afraid of even being in the open, in the public space. So such people will come through for therapy. People who have gone through these dysfunctional experiences, what we call life event experiences, who have they have lost children, they have lost capacity to even bear children. They say they are infertile. Women that have PCOS, menopause, that creates anxiety and inner discomfort. These are people that can come forward for therapy processes.
Not forgetting victims of trafficking, for example.
Yes.
You're taken from the village, in fact, grabbed from
the village,
taken to an unknown destination. You pass through the desert. Over there, you are caged. You sent back again.
You see people killed.
Yes.
You see people killed, people thrown into ocean, all kind of things that happen. So these are discomforting images that the individual gets trapped, that close the person's mind. And these are it. Even in governance, leadership issues, people who are in leadership positions, but who have had adverse childhood experiences that they have not resolved, it will interfere in their capacity to lead. And that's where energy therapy also comes in.
So your office might be working in close concert with the National Agency for Trafficking in Persons?
We are available to be connected, to be associated with, to be taken advantage of in terms of the services that we provide. So we we have been able to reach out, but we are not getting that support yet. But I know that in no time those supports will come. We would have opportunity to help people deal with their issues at basic foundational level, at individual level, at family level, and at community level. I do what's called Community Energy Health Project, where I go to communities and tell them about energy therapy and teach them skills that they can use. Now, when somebody offends you, for example, you don't need to react. You can, before you start forming negative energy, there are certain techniques that you can do to ease yourself of that pressure so that you don't, build negative emotions inside you. So those are the things that I do for communities. And for corporate organizations who do the training of their employees, because everything is about people. And people must be emotionally stable, resilient, and able to actualize their potentials. A lot of people are not able to actualize their potentials because they have gone through traumatic experiences.
So let me give you this chance to do a closing remark. Closing remark by looking at pensioners. They are there. You give all your all in service. You go out. You are waiting and begging, living in penury. We've seen police retired in the streets demanding for their rights. We are seeing lecturers demanding for their rights, and of course, soldiers at the point you see them demanding for what legally belongs to them. Now, we are not talking of government policies now, but we are talking of how can the individual himself come out of this clean and live a nice.
Very important question. Retirement is one of the 10 major traumatic experiences that people pass through. There are 10 of them like that. Loss of spouse and a couple of others. Now, retirement is a very important area that attention needs to be paid. I have done a proposal to the Senior Citizens Commission, Nigeria Senior Citizens Commission, that I need to talk to the retirees. I need to talk to senior citizens. That's what we call unfulfilled expectation trauma. These people had expectations, but they didn't fulfill them and it traumatized them. So when they see people do those things, it's a problem for them. They need to come out of that mode. People who have worked and they are not getting their salaries, that kind of thing, is also a problem. The problem will exist, like I also tell people. Life event experiences will happen, but how you relate to that experience is the important thing. You can decide to kill yourself. That is suicide. But that is not what we want. You can decide to jettison life and say, I don't understand it. But that is not what we want. That's not what we want. Yes. You retreat into one's shell. But you can confront the situation from right within the inside of you. You say, look, all these things happened, and so what? And then you move forward. One lady, 60-something-year-old lady, the husband abandoned her, went and married another person. And she almost went mental because of the challenge, the way she reacted to the experience. But when I put her through therapy, 5 sessions, I don't know, I have not met her in person, over the phone, and we cleared her reactions to that situation, and she's better for it today. In fact, the testimony she wrote to me, if you read it, you wonder, where is this coming from? She did not only survive the experience, she went further to become promoted in her job, because she is here to retire. Went further to become promoted on her job. So she, the energy, the kind of work I'm doing, it supports the senior citizens, supports retirees, supports even policymakers, as it were, in appreciating the need for us all to work in harmony, because it's all about harmony and balance.
Thank you very much, Dr. James Peran Iwowarri. I want to thank you for putting and shedding more light on this very important issue: health matters, mental health, security versus the person. Security physically outside, security psychologically. I want to thank you for coming to Third Eye Africa TV.
Thank you very much. I have a sense that some people will be asking, what is the phone number of this man? Can I share my phone number?
Okay, you're free.
Please talk to us on 080-3722-7334. I hope you got that. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's my pleasure to share this knowledge, and I look forward to another time when we will take another topic that is of importance to Nigeria and Nigerians. I will be glad to come again.
Thank you very much. My name is Ben Shaman. Keep watching Third Eye Africa TV. And bye for now.